Hey guys, welcome back to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we are back with a Twitch supplementary guide, and today we're going to be talking about Twitch with a crit build. Now we've of course already covered Twitch with an on-hit build, which is what I basically feel is Twitch's best build at the moment. However, today we're going to be covering an alternative build, which is going to be the crit version instead. So let's just get straight into it. So first up, we're going to start off with the items. So we want to start off with the Berserker's Grease, because with Twitch, it's really important to get a lot of attack speed so that you can apply your stacks really quickly. And in this case, since we're not building the on-hit items, we don't actually have that much attack speed in our build itself. We really only have Runans and like Bloodthirsters, 10% attack speed if you're high on health. And I guess at the end if you count Shield Bow, but you really don't have a lot of attack speed, so I think that here Berserker's Greaves are actually better so that you can apply your stacks faster. And then your first core item is going to be your Bloodthirster, which is of course going to give you all of the good stats, as well as the physical vamp and the additional stats when you're high on health. And then despite being a crit build, we're actually going to go for Runan's Hurricane second, which is not a crit item. Now normally I don't really recommend interrupting your crit items, because especially in the current meta where IE is going to give you a lot more crit damage, normally I think going for all crit items are better. But in this case, Twitch's main way of doing damage is really just applying the poison onto people and also popping the poison with your E. So I really think that you need Runans to apply the poison onto 3 people. Aside from that, you get the additional nice effects like attack speed, which is important for Twitch. And of course, we also have the additional little bit of AD and also the on-hit damage. Then we rush into our IE, which is of course going to give you a huge amount of AD, as well as of course giving you the extra crit damage. And then of course this is around the point where you're going to need more reminder for the armor penetration and the grievous wounds. And finally, as your last crit item, you can go for something like Shield Bow to get the safety, since you are going to get that lifeline passive. So for the runes, it's pretty obvious. We're going to go for Lethal Tempo for the attack speed. Brutal, because we auto-attack quite a bit. Giant Slayer in general, because it's normally going to give you the most value here. Unless you're against a full squishy team, then Coup de Grace might be alright as well. And of course, Legend Alacrity for more attack speed. Now for the minor rune is where you have a choice here. You can go for, of course, Bone Plating for the defensive capabilities, which I think you most of the time want to go for, because Twitch, with Twitch, you do take quite a lot of damage in lane. Of course, your two alternative options is going for Sudden Impact for the extra armor pen when you come out of stealth, or going for Hex Flash to of course get that extra bit of mobility when your flash is down. For the spells, generally you want to go for Flash and Ghost for the extra mobility on the Ghost, but you can go for Exhaust as well if the situation really calls for it. But with all that said, now let's move on to talking about the gameplay. Okay, so now into the gameplay. So today we have the Tom and Jerry combo with, of course, Twitch and Yuumi, the cat, and the mouse, or rat, I guess you could say in this case. And of course it is no spoiler, because it is in the title that we actually get a pentakill in this match, which will of course be, coming up when it does. So in this particular match, we're actually kind of in solo queue. We are in solo queue actually, because we met the Yuumi in this match, and after that we played another like 3 more matches with this particular Yuumi, of course without voice comm. So just like she invited me to another match, and then we ended up playing 4 matches together after this one. So in the next video, you will be seeing me play Jinx Yuumi. So of course, because I have a Yuumi as a support, I'm picking all of the hyper carries that want to play with Yuumi. Of course, if you have a Yuumi, you want to pick those champions like Jinx, like Twitch, those really kind of hyper carry champions. Other champions work as well, like Kaisa, for example. But you don't really want to pick those non-Yuumi champions when you have a Yuumi with you. That would be kind of a waste. Like Ezreal, for example, isn't really a hard hyper carry, but can help Yuumi get through the laning phase. Anyways, with any Yuumi lane, it's generally quite rough in the laning phase, because Yuumi doesn't really help you do a lot of damage in the laning phase. You can really only kind of survive. Now here Yuumi actually trolls me here, because Yuumi actually detached when I popped the fruit, and she actually took like 2 of the fruit, I think, and I only actually got 1. Like, Yuumi can heal me, but it's kind of not enough. So you can see here what ends up happening is MF just procs her passive with the Q auto and just kills me basically. And I really was kind of a little bit annoyed with the Yuumi at this point, because I was like, why are you detaching to get the fruit? So after playing 4 games with the Yuumi, I kind of realized what she likes to do, which is she basically has this kind of mindset that the ADC doesn't need any fruit because they're playing with Yuumi. So she basically thinks that Yuumi should always get the fruit because it gives mana, and then Yuumi can then heal the ADC and give the ADC health in that way. But in this case, I was just really too low. I really just need the fruit. And Yuumi really just trolled me there by not allowing me to pick up the fruit, which of course then led to me dying there. But basically, I see the same kind of behavior for the entire rest of the 4 games that we played together, which is basically that Yuumi always wants to take the fruit, which is a little bit annoying to say the least. But yeah. So here, the only thing Twitch can really do in laning phase is to try to get these kind of cheeky trades where you stack up your poison and pop the poison onto the enemies. And Yuumi doesn't give a lot of lane pressure in the early game. The only thing that Yuumi really does for you in lane, which she does very well, is to keep you alive. So as long as you don't go for some kind of stupid all-in where you're dying 100 to 0, Yuumi can sustain you back to pretty much full health as long as you don't trade afterwards for quite a while. So you can, Yumi's, whenever her heal comes up, she can put it on you. You auto attack some minions and you can get back up to full health. So generally speaking, if you don't play overly aggressive, you shouldn't really be dying in lane too much when you're laning with a Yuumi, which honestly I don't really lane with Yuumi very often at all. Not too many people like to play Yuumi, but this particular person has like over 1,000 games on Yuumi and plays like Yuumi every game basically. So yeah, it is going to be a pretty tailing phase. I mean, we have an MF Lulu on the opposite end, MF being a very strong lane champion, so we don't want to mess with her too much, and we kind of saw the consequences of what messing with her does, like just now when she just killed me on the tower, when the whole fruit debacle kind of happened. So we don't really want to mess with them too much. We kind of just want to wait and scale into the later part of the game where we get like maybe 2 items. Is where Twitch Yuumi really comes online, because Yuumi has a couple of items to buff you and you have like 2 items to do damage and to apply your stacks with the Runan's Hurricane and the Bloodthirster. I mean, even with on hit, you still have the Bork and the Bloodthirster, so you still want to wait for 2 items anyway. Twitch is really like a 2 item, 3 item spike kind of ADC. Not too strong in the early game unless of course you get Giga fed in the laning phase, and you just roll over the game at that point. So here we're pretty much just staying under tower and yeah, just keeping up in farm. So yeah, it's not a very entertaining laning phase. Kayn actually comes in here. I actually pop the ulti to start blasting him. Yuumi pops the ulti as well. We actually kill the Lulu. However, MF does end up staying alive, which is still alright. We do get a kill. It's kind of good enough. Here we're getting a pretty decent trade onto MF. Unfortunately, she does pop the ulti. She's at 1 HP and so am I, but she actually picks up the fruit, whereas I end up getting killed by the minions. I do believe if I didn't auto-attack the minions and the minions didn't have vision in that bush, I would have survived. But maybe there was already a ward in that bush, and I would have died anyway. Because the reason I say that is because I don't think the enemy team has a reason to ward that bush, because we have completely no lane pressure, so warding that bush would be kind of troll because we would never be in that bush. But some people just ward that bush by default regardless, so maybe it could have been one of those cases where the enemy team just wards the bush anyway. So here anyway, MF for some reason is trying to do the dragon on her own, and her team is doing the herald. So here this basically gives us the dragon, because the enemy team shouldn't really be able to contest. Kassadin and Lulu are making their way down, but neither of them are the jungle, so we should be able to pick up the dragon, which we do over here. And the enemy team in the meanwhile picks up the herald. Nothing too much really happens in this situation, so we're just going to go back to the lane and continue farming. We're just about halfway through to our first item, and we're just slowly crawling our way to getting there. We've already copped like 2 deaths in the lane, which is not too hot at all. Especially MF getting both of the kills does have a 1k gold lead over us, but of course MF is one of the worst scaling ADCs in the game, especially because MF builds lethality now. Here Lulu goes in with the ult, not Lulu, Yuumi goes in with the ult, Lulu now goes in with the ult as well. And here I'm able to actually kill Lulu. Yumi's heal actually saves me. Honestly, if she healed me a little bit early, I would have just ran down the misfortune, but I thought that she didn't have heal, and I backed off because of that. But if I knew she had heal, I would have just continued running her down, but I wasn't tracking my own teammates' summoner spells, unfortunately, so we missed out on the kill on the MF. But either way, the kill on Lulu pretty much brings us back into the game on par with the MF, who does have 2 kills herself. And yeah, Kassadin now just comes in. We're gonna run, basically popping the ghost here to bring myself and Yuumi to safety. Here once again I'm picking up the fruit. Yuumi once again detaches and tries to pick up the fruit, which in this case does make sense because she actually doesn't have any mana in this case. So instead we're gonna just back away from the tower completely and give up the tower, because Yuumi doesn't really have mana to do anything, and I am pretty scared to get tower dived under the tower, especially because I'm pretty much 1v3 at that point without Yuumi having any mana. For some reason, Yasuo decides now is the time to go in 1v3 when the tower is destroyed, so I have really no idea what he's doing here. He just straight up just dies, which doesn't surprise me at all. Here I'm waiting for Yuumi because Yuumi doesn't actually have boots, so of course she needs to attach to you so that she can get more movement speed. And here me and Yuumi both pick up our first item. I get the Bloodthirster and she gets the Ardent Sensor. Of course, Ardent Sensor, very useful item for Twitch to give him more attack speed, to of course DPS faster. Really good item pickup from the Yuumi here. And we're kind of waiting for again that 2 item power spike before we really start to go ham. In the meanwhile, our team is kind of not doing too hot anywhere. We have a 0-4 Yasuo, who has essentially the only real contribution he's made to this game is to actually feed Kassadin, and we have a 1-4-1 Set, who likewise has managed to feed Teemo and Lilia. I mean, Lilia also kind of probably got fed a little bit from the Yasuo, and Kayn is 1-1-1, did just get his evolution, so he is still in the game, but we have a feeding Yasuo and Set, which is not too good. And we ourselves, we aren't feeding, but we aren't doing too hot either. We're just 2-2, neither here nor there. But of course, as a Twitch, this is kind of the situation we find ourselves in. Here we get a 4-man gank off onto the Kassadin and get the shutdown. You can see one MFQ does half the health of Yasuo. Of course, because MF does have the lethality items. She has a Dirk as well as the Ghost Blade and the lethality boot. So a ton of burst damage from MF here. Eventually, I'm going to make an MF updated complete guide, but I do think lethality MF is the best way to go. Now, just focus fully on your early game power, focusing on one-shotting people and snowballing, and kind of just ignore the later stage of the game. So here you can see a fight is kind of breaking out. I'm stealthing in to look for opportunity. Huge knockup by the Yasuo. I pick up a kill onto MF. Lulu goes down as well, and we chase Teemo down for another kill. Huge 2 kills for me to get me closer toward my 2 item power spike. Kassadin Rift walks in, so we're actually just blasting him because he has no mobility, so he has to flash out of danger. I'm kind of running out of mana here, so I'm just going to blast the tower a little bit. Yuumi pops the ulti, which is a little bit questionable. But here Yuumi can just attach over the wall and get back to safety. I'm going to reset to restore my mana, as well as maybe hopefully get some items. Don't know if I have enough for my second item yet, not really. So you have to pick up the 2 item components and work towards getting the second item. I believe I'm very close to it. So I want to get that huge bot wave and reset to get the second item, hopefully before Dragon. Of course, to reset and get this before Dragon, we need our team to kind of stall for a little bit of time, because Dragon is already spawning, and the timer to reset before Dragon is normally about 20 seconds. We do have enough now, I think, but we do want to clear this wave. And just push out this wave here. Kayn and Yasuo are both resetting, and the Dragon is being done, so I pretty much take this as we're not really contesting Dragon. I get blinded by Teemo. Here I'm just going to walk away. Enemy team picks up the Dragon. I'm just going to grab the fruit to remain healthy, and yeah, nothing too much is really going to happen here. So Kayn hops in, and I don't know what he's doing because Dragon is already gone, but Kayn just hops in and donates his life to the enemy team, I guess. I'm just attacking red buff to get a little bit of healing, and now I'm just going to reset to get my item. Yeah, some questionable plays here. I did spot that enemy there, but I'm pretty sure I can complete my recall without being interrupted, so I do just that. Now I'm at 8k gold, which is more than the MF, by the way, and it's kind of on par with majority of the enemy team, like the Teemo and such. Of course, Lilia is the most fed member of the game, who's 6-0-4. Here I was actually trying to get a pick onto Teemo, but I actually am slightly out of range, so I end up wasting my ult here and my ghost as well, which is a little bit tilting because I was like, now we got the 2 items, now we can just run this Teemo down, get a quick kill, but that did not happen at all, and we basically just wasted 2 summoner spells, which is pretty unfortunate, but it is what it is. So now with Kayn not left, but back alive, we can let him get the red buff so we can get the red buff share, which is going to be pretty huge for damaging and slowing. 4 enemies are grouped up at the top lane, wailing on the Set. Set not too valuable at the moment. He's 1-7-4, not very useful at all. Neither is Yasuo for that matter. At least Kayn is still somewhat in the game. And pretty much everyone on the enemy team is fed except Lulu, but Lulu is building full AP and not support, so I guess it's good because building full AP and her not being fed means that we aren't her AP is going to be a lot less of a threat. I'm just clearing some wave here. If you notice, the enemy team is like basically full AP with Teemo, Lilia, Kassadin, and a Lulu who's building AP, and the only AD damage here is actually Misfortune. So in this case, we'll talk about this a little later on, but we actually forego our crit build and we actually end up going for something else instead. So here we spot the Teemo briefly on vision, so we know they're doing Baron. So here we're just going to sneak in real quick. They unfortunately already get the Baron, but Set actually takes all of their cooldowns, which then allows me to just walk in and pretty much get the easiest pentakill of my life. And there is the pentakill you guys were waiting to see. It is honestly really underwhelming. It's kind of the most, it is really the most underwhelming pentakill I've ever got, because all I really did there is I have Yuumi on my back, I stealthed in, walked in with a classic Twitch play, tossed the W, activated my ulti, started blasting whoever is nearest to me, and then popped my EU and I see like full stacks on like 3 people, and then I just finish off the last two kills. Of course, the last one being Lilia to get the shutdown. So here, this allows me to back and complete my entire IE while my team is taking down the mid inhibitor. Of course, after that we gotta retreat. And here, you can see I'm taking some time in the base, and that's because I basically came to the conclusion here that, especially because I just got a pentakill and I'm giga fed, probably staying alive is more important than doing damage here, because you know, I really don't want to die, and being alive is going to let me carry my team. So I actually end up building towards a Maw of Malmortius instead, because it has so high value in this game with the quadruple AP on the enemy team. So I'm here, I have the Hex Drinker, I'm going in to save my Yuumi. Yuumi attaches to me, and I'm back in, popping the ulti, blasting the Lilia. Lilia goes down, blasting the Teemo and the MF as well, and we pick up a triple kill here. Kassadin is split pushing, and here I actually have two choices. Either I can back and stop the Kassadin from split pushing, or I can push down the lane I'm in, or I can try to end through mid. So I end up actually going for the back and stopping the Kassadin. Now this is the conservative approach, where basically he doesn't get in hit, but I don't get anything either. The more offensive approach is to actually try to force the end through mid lane and force him to come back and stop pushing the inhib, or risk losing the game. And another way, of course, is to trade and try to get the tier 2 and inhib for an inhib, you know, equal trade. But overall, I don't know, like, I don't know if there really is a best option, because it's really hard to tell how fast he would have, you know, pushed and how fast I would have pushed. So it really, I don't know if there's a best option. But here you can see I have picked up my Maw of Malmortius, which again in a crit build is kind of trash, because now you can see we have 2 crit items and 2 non-crit items. But really, I think that in this case, going for Maw is just the best way to go, despite the fact we're going for a crit build, just because of the fact that we need that magic resist. Speaking of which, here we go in again onto the enemy team, very similar to the pentakill play, where here we get another triple kill. Essentially, the enemy team is kind of trolling, and what I mean by that is, essentially, they know that I'm the main carry of the team. It's really obvious, like, nothing screams carry more than getting a pentakill, and then another triple kill, and now another triple kill. But for some reason, they're using all of their cooldowns on my 1 in 10 set. You know, and you know, whoever else, like Kane or whatnot. And I don't really understand why, because obviously I'm the one who needs to be focused, but no, they're focusing my feeding teammates instead, which is amazing for me. I'm just going in, free firing, getting kills, and you can see here, we just end the game off of that. So I'm going to leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.